Imagine a desolate Roman amphitheater, the air thick with the stench of blood and sweat. The crowd's roar echoes off the stone walls as they await the spectacle of death. Among the prisoners led into the arena is Peter, one of Jesus' closest apostles. Once a humble fisherman, now bound in chains, his face marked with the scars of countless beatings. The executioner approaches, brandishing a cross. But this is no ordinary crucifixion. Peter, out of humility, has requested to be crucified upside down, deeming himself unworthy to die in the same manner as his Lord. As the nails pierce his flesh, his cries of agony mix with the jeers of the mob. This is not a sanitized story from a Sunday school book. It's a brutal, harrowing reality, a glimpse into the horrific ends that awaited Jesus' 12 apostles. You may have grown up hearing stories of the apostles as brave, almost invincible figures, but the truth is far more chilling. These men, who walked with Jesus, shared his teachings, and spread the gospel across the known world, faced tortures and deaths that defy imagination. From being flayed alive to being impaled on spikes, their fates were a testament to the price of discipleship. And yet, despite the horror, their stories continue to captivate and inspire. Why? Because they offer a profound lesson about faith, sacrifice, and the enduring power of God's love in the face of unspeakable suffering. In a world where comfort and safety are often prioritized above all else, the apostles' stories seem almost unfathomable. We live in an age of convenience, where the greatest challenges we face are often as mundane as a slow internet connection or a traffic jam. But the apostles' lives were a constant battle, not just against external enemies, but against their own fears and doubts. Their endings were not just tragic events. They were pivotal moments that would shape the course of history and the future of Christianity. As you delve deeper into this exploration, you'll uncover the gritty details of each apostle's final days, the historical context that led to their persecution, and the spiritual lessons we can draw from their suffering. If you're ready to confront the raw, unvarnished truth about the men who dedicated their lives to spreading the message of Jesus, then hit that subscribe button. Join us on this journey through the darkest chapters of early Christianity and discover how the horrific ends of the 12 apostles became the foundation of a faith that would change the world forever. Are you prepared to witness the stories that have been hidden in the shadows for centuries? To truly comprehend the harrowing fates of Jesus' 12 apostles, we must immerse ourselves in the crucible of history that was the first-century world. Picture the Roman Empire, a colossus striding across continents, its might enforced by legions of soldiers, a vast bureaucracy, and an intricate web of laws. At its heart lay a culture steeped in polytheism, where emperors were deified, and traditional gods like Jupiter, Minerva, and Mars were venerated in grand temples. Into this world stepped the followers of Jesus, preaching a radical message of a single, all-powerful God and the salvation found through faith in the Son of Man. The Roman authorities, suspicious of any ideology that challenged the established order, viewed the early Christians as a threat. The apostles' refusal to participate in pagan rituals, their disregard for the emperor's divinity, and their growing influence among the masses were seen as acts of sedition. As Tacitus, the Roman historian, wrote, Christians were hated for their abominations, scapegoated for societal ills, and subjected to brutal persecution. This climate of hostility set the stage for the apostles' tragic endings. But the persecution didn't come solely from the Roman Empire. Within the Jewish community, there was also deep division. The religious leaders of Jesus' time, the Pharisees and Sadducees, felt threatened by his teachings and those of his apostles. Jesus had challenged their authority, criticized their legalistic interpretations of the law, and drawn large crowds away from the traditional religious practices. After Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection, the apostles continued to spread his message, which further inflamed tensions. Acts 4:1-3 describes how Peter and John were arrested simply for preaching about Jesus' resurrection, highlighting the hostility they faced from their fellow Jews. The apostles' unwavering commitment to their faith, despite the mounting danger, was rooted in their encounter with the risen Christ. In John 2:19-23, Jesus appeared to the apostles after his resurrection, breathing the Holy Spirit upon them and commissioning them to spread the gospel. This divine encounter filled them with a courage that transcended human fear. They understood that their mission was greater than their own safety, that they were called to be witnesses to the truth, even if it meant facing death. In the backdrop of this historical and religious turmoil, the apostles' journeys across the known world took on an even more perilous significance. Paul, formerly known as Saul, who persecuted the early church before his dramatic conversion on the road to Damascus, Acts 9, 1-19, traveled thousands of miles, facing shipwrecks, beatings, and imprisonment, all in the name of spreading the gospel. His letters, which would later become a significant part of the New Testament, were written from prison cells and places of exile, a testament to his unwavering dedication. As you reflect on this historical context, consider the parallels to our own lives. In a world often divided by ideology, religion, and power struggles, how do you stand firm in your beliefs? The apostles' stories remind us that true faith is not always comfortable or convenient. It requires courage, sacrifice, and a willingness to face adversity. Are you ready to explore further how these historical events shaped the apostles' tragic fates and what we can learn from their example? The apostles' horrific ends were not merely the result of external forces, they were intertwined with the very essence of their calling and the unwavering nature of their beliefs. Like lighthouses standing firm against a tempestuous sea, they refused to be swayed by the threats of persecution or the allure of compromise. Their commitment to spreading the gospel, even in the face of certain death, stemmed from multiple converging factors that painted a complex picture of their martyrdom. One of the primary reasons for their tragic fates was the radical nature of their message. The teachings of Jesus challenged the very fabric of society, from the religious hierarchies to the political power structures. When the apostles proclaimed that there was salvation through no one else but Jesus Christ, Acts 4:12, they were not only defying the polytheistic beliefs of the Romans, but also undermining the authority of the Jewish religious elite. It was as if they were shouting in a crowded marketplace, their voices cutting through the noise of centuries, old traditions and beliefs, inviting people to a new way of life that was both revolutionary and threatening. Personal conviction also played a pivotal role. Take Thomas, often known as Doubting Thomas. His initial skepticism about Jesus' resurrection transformed into unwavering faith after he touched the wounds of the risen Christ. This encounter left an indelible mark on him, fueling his determination to share the truth, regardless of the cost. For Thomas and the other apostles, their faith was not a passive belief, but an active commitment that dictated every aspect of their lives. It was this unshakable faith that led them to endure floggings, stonings, and imprisonments, seeing these trials as opportunities to bear witness to the power of God. The growth of the early Christian community itself became a catalyst for persecution. As more and more people embraced the teachings of Jesus, the movement posed a real threat to the established order. The Roman Empire, which relied on the unity of its people under the state-sanctioned religion, viewed the Christians as a divisive force. Emperor Nero, for example, infamously blamed the Christians for the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD and used this as an excuse to launch a brutal campaign of persecution. Christians were fed to lions, crucified, and burned alive as human torches. The apostles, as leaders of this growing movement, were at the forefront of these attacks, their very existence a challenge to the status quo. Furthermore, the apostles' itinerant lifestyle and unwavering evangelism put them directly in the path of danger. They traveled far and wide, from the bustling cities of Rome and Antioch to the remote villages of Asia Minor, sharing the gospel with anyone who would listen. Their willingness to engage with people from all walks of life, including the marginalized and the outcast, was both a strength and a vulnerability. It endeared them to many, but also made them enemies of those who feared the social and religious upheaval that their message might bring. As you consider these reasons, think about the sacrifices you would be willing to make for your beliefs. Would you have the courage to stand firm in the face of adversity, like the apostles did? Their stories are not just relics of the past, they are a mirror reflecting the depth of our own commitment to our faith. In a world where the pressure to conform is often overwhelming, the apostles' unwavering dedication serves as a powerful reminder of what it truly means to live a life of conviction. Are you ready to delve deeper into the individual stories of these remarkable men and witness the horrific yet heroic ends that awaited them? Let us now journey into the individual narratives of these brave apostles, each a chapter in the harrowing tale of sacrifice and unwavering faith. Andrew, Peter's brother, was said to have been crucified on an X-shaped cross, known as a crux decusata. For 2 days he hung there, his body racked with pain, yet his spirit unbroken. As the crowds gathered around, mocking and jeering, Andrew used his final breaths to preach the gospel, his voice carrying the message of hope and salvation even in the face of death. His crucifixion was not an end, but a testament to his unwavering dedication to the teachings of Jesus. James, the son of Zebedee, became the first of the apostles to be martyred. King Herod Agrippa I, seeking to win favor with the Jews, ordered his execution by the sword, Acts 12, 1-2. In that fateful moment, as the blade descended, James did not cower in fear. Instead, he faced his death with a calm resolve, his eyes fixed on the heavens, perhaps envisioning the glory that awaited him in the presence of his Lord. His martyrdom sent shockwaves through the early Christian community, yet it also served as a powerful reminder of the cost of discipleship. Philip, too, met a tragic end. In Hierapolis, he was scourged, thrown into prison, and finally crucified. But his story is not just one of suffering, it's a story of love and forgiveness. Even as he hung on the cross, Philip prayed for his persecutors, echoing the words of Jesus on the cross, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." His act of compassion in the face of unspeakable cruelty demonstrated the transformative power of the gospel, a message of love that transcended pain and suffering. Matthew, the tax collector turned apostle, was martyred in Ethiopia. He was stabbed repeatedly, his body left to bleed out in the streets. Yet, his final moments were not filled with despair. Instead, he used his last strength to share the story of Jesus with those around him, planting the seeds of faith in the hearts of the Ethiopians. His death was a testament to the far-reaching impact of the apostles' mission as they carried the gospel to the ends of the earth, even at the cost of their own lives. These stories of the apostles' horrific ends are not just tales of violence and tragedy, they are stories of courage, faith, and love. Each apostle, in his own way, demonstrated the power of the gospel to transform lives, even in the most dire circumstances. As you read these accounts, ask yourself, what would you do if you were faced with such adversity? Would you have the strength to stand firm in your beliefs, just as the apostles did? Their stories are a challenge and an inspiration, a call to live a life of faith that is unwavering in the face of any obstacle. As we reflect on the horrific ends of Jesus' 12 apostles, it's easy to be overwhelmed by the brutality and tragedy. But amidst the pain and suffering, there shines a glimmer of hope, a hope rooted in God's eternal redemptive plan. The apostles' martyrdoms were not random acts of violence. They were part of a divine narrative that began with the creation of the world and reached its climax in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. In Romans 8:18, the Apostle Paul writes, "I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us." This verse encapsulates the heart of the apostles' faith. They understood that the trials they faced on earth were temporary, but the glory that awaited them in the presence of God was eternal. Their willingness to endure persecution and death was a testament to their belief in the promise of salvation, a promise that Jesus himself had made when he said, "In my Father's house are many rooms. I go to prepare a place for you," John 14:2-3. The apostles' stories also serve as a powerful reminder of the mission that God has entrusted to all believers. Just as Jesus commissioned his apostles to go and make disciples of all nations, Matthew 2:8-19, we too are called to share the good news of the gospel. Their sacrifices were not in vain. They paved the way for the spread of Christianity, which has since touched the lives of billions of people around the world. Today, as we face our own challenges and trials, we can draw strength from their example, knowing that we are part of something much greater than ourselves. In a world often filled with doubt, fear, and despair, the apostles' unwavering faith offers a beacon of light. Their stories challenge us to examine our own commitment to Christ. Are we willing to stand up for our beliefs even when it's difficult? Are we sharing the message of God's love and salvation with those around us? The apostles' horrific ends were a testament to their love for Jesus, and they call us to live our lives in the same way, with courage, compassion, and a deep-seated faith in God's plan. As we conclude this exploration, I invite you to reflect on the impact that the apostles' stories have had on your own life. How will you respond to the call to share the gospel? Will you let their example inspire you to live a life of bold faith, or will you allow fear and doubt to hold you back? Remember, the legacy of the 12 apostles is not just a historical footnote, it's a living testament to the power of God's love and the enduring nature of the Christian faith. If you found this journey through the lives and deaths of the apostles meaningful, and if you're eager to explore more of the rich tapestry of biblical teachings, don't forget to subscribe. There's a world of spiritual wisdom waiting for you, and I look forward to accompanying you on your continued quest for truth and understanding.